This is me. This is my beloved wife, Sylvia. This is Sylvia's idea of sailing. This is my dream of sailing and my hope of circumnavigating the globe as a retirement project in 2029. This is Sylvia's reaction to that idea.
What? You got a plan?
I am on a 6-year quest to convince Sylvia that a circumnavigation is a wonderful adventure, but the clock is ticking, so join me as I search for the perfect yacht that Sylvia will love, and get all your ladies to subscribe and cheer Sylvia on in the comments. Welcome back to Navel Gazing at Camp David. As you can see, I've been relegated to the basement now and my little wine cellar, but I hope you enjoy it. It's another Future Yacht episode, and this week we're looking at an exciting new entry-level yacht from the premier luxury performance cruiser manufacturer HH Catamarans, the HH44 OC. The HH44 OC brings to the table a long list of innovations that include drop-down sugar scoop swim platforms, parallel hybrid drives, and an electric sunroof, and mini keels with winglets, among other things. Today, we are going to, 1, review its specifications, pricing, and layout against 3 similar new vessels. 2, do a full tour asking what would Sylvia say. 3, navel gaze, an innovation and or adjustment that might make life aboard just a little bit easier. 4, have a look at the used market for 3 to 5-year-old comparables. And 5, give it a Dave score and compare the results with all our previously reviewed yachts. This week, of course, being Future Yacht Week, we're going dry. And we'll just have to get a little intoxicated with the wonderful images and art of the renders of this beautiful new yacht. From high above Vancouver, we swing across the continent and the Atlantic to the western shores of France and the home of last time's yacht at the Neil Yards near La Rochelle. From here, we carry on eastward around the globe all the way to China and the Hudson Yacht and Marine Co. yards in Zhujiang Village. Having said that, HH just announced doubling production capacity for the HH44. I mean, they have 33 orders before hull number 1 is even splashed. So they now offer a production option in their factory in the Philippines. Before we dive in any further, I just want to say an absolute thank you to all of you who, number 1, watch, subscribe, and then put these comments to me. And I mean, these comments sometimes go on for pages, and it's not boring pages. It's incredible content and advice. I've got subscribers who have taken me from knowing absolutely nothing. Now and then they smack me upside the head. It forces me to go back and research stuff that I didn't know about, and being a little bit of a geek, I actually really enjoy it. So this has nothing to do with Patreon. I don't have one of those pages. I just want to thank by name key people who take the time to comment and guide and honestly mentor me through this entire process. I'd just like to thank Carmen and Ike Harmon, the Vulcanista, Arthur Huang, Neil Mateus, Taylor Hickman, Darren Christensen, James Aaron and Jack Chen, JHK, whoever you are, Mark Bachman, and thanks so much, Mark, for meeting up with me at the Miami Boat Show. Clive, Stainless Steel Wombat. You're going to have to tell me the story behind that one time, Clive. But Clive was my very first comment, and every comment since then has been of incredible value and substance. Thanks so much for taking the time, Clive. Norman Cook, Bill Barton, Corkson, Canada Bob, John Mason, H2O Ravens, Tara Kaplan, Matt Incan, Nick Pohl, and Kirk B. And Kirk's got a 526 on order, and Kirk, I'd love to be on board one day with you there. So you guys, and there's been several since then who've written in, and the ladies, I'm telling you, who write in and encourage Sylvia, I just got to thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's really made this journey interesting. Jumping into the pictures here are some early shots before the design was actually finished. You can see quite an unusual enclosed aft cockpit. I'm actually happy the direction they took it. It's still avant-garde, it's still innovative, but it is so pretty, and I like the completed rear cockpit. And here you have those front windows like an oyster opening and shutting, the sunroof, and those aft sugar scoop swim platforms, absolutely extraordinary. The entire boat looks completely gorgeous. Look at from the front. Those windows, of course, are real glass and will never graze. You can see the indirect lighting even in the cockpit under the cockpit roof. Looking from the aft there, the integrated ladders that take you up on board. And then here's a little closer shot of those front window openings and that wonderful sunroof option that you've got there into the saloon. The boat itself cuts a striking line, and then you've got this cockpit with the Versa helm that goes into 3 horizontal positions. Look at the indirect lighting they've got on the lip of the aft bimini, and then you can see the safety and security of those aft sugar scoop swim platforms as they're up. If you're enjoying the content, hitting subscribe is free and really helps the channel. If you're like me and watch most of YouTube on the TV and didn't realize it's easy to subscribe using your TV remote, let me help you out a little bit. If you're watching your favorite video, all you need to do is go to your middle button, hit it up one more time to take you into the menu, hit it across to the right, it highlights channel, hit channel, click down to subscribe, hit subscribe. Now all you need to do is click over to the left, back out, click over to the X, back out, and now click to the right, 1, 2, and there's a like. Hit like, and now you've helped the channel. Thanks very much and enjoy the video. Okay, jumping into new comparables, we are looking at the Balance 442 against the HH44, the Aventura 45, and I know there are those that will argue this shouldn't be in there, but I'd like some comparable of a good value cruising cat in amongst this rarefied group. And then the Seawind 1370. Looking at the profiles here, you can see that pronounced inverted bow there on the OC44. It looks so good. Balance has a little bit more vertical bow. Aventura has a reverse bow as well, but it's not as curved as that HHOC, which is just sheer art. The Seawind has a very nice reverse bow as well, very attractive. Looking at the actual sail areas here, we've got the Aventura at 125, which it'll need given its dimensions. Next, the Seawind at 116. Given its weight and dimensions, that's going to be very telling. Next, you've got the Balance 442 at 105, and then the HHOC 44 at 105. Now, diving in onto the rooftops here, you can see the only one with a fly lounge is the Aventura 45. All the rest have a lot of area for solar, and they use it for just that. The forward cockpit area, you have no faux forward cockpits on any of these other than the Aventura 45, but you do have some very nice factory-made cushions that fit on here, certainly on the Seawind 1370. They are actually quite spectacular. Then let's look into the saloon here. The HH44 is really quite remarkable for its size. When you look at that depth and the width of that saloon, you've got a lot of space in there. It is bigger, I would say, than the Balance 442 and bigger than the Seawind 1370. The only one that gives it a run for its money is Aventura 45, which would be probably bigger square footage wise simply because because of the depth. Heading down now into the cabins, you look at the knitting needle thin HH44 hulls. I mean, does that scream performance or what? You can see that the Balance 442 isn't far behind, but it is a little wider, which is going to give you more space. That's why it's balanced. The Seawind 1370, a little wider again, giving you again that lovely forward athwartship berth with a walk-in closet, which you can also factor into the Balance 442. I believe on all of these you can get that versatile smart room is sort of what it's being tagged, where you've got it in the passenger side forward berth. Instead of it being a berth, it's turned into a usable room. And you can have your washer, dryer, and different things of that nature in there. The Aventura, of course, is a cruising cat, so you have massive space, and a 45-foot, you have two of the three berths there, full three-side walk-around. Heading into the numbers, going across the top line here, you can see that we have the HH44 at 947,000 base, that's euros, followed by the Balance 442, very close at 915. Then you take quite a step down in price to 759 euros for the base Seawind 1370. And, you know, from all we've seen, I just saw Nick's latest video where he's taking it up the river. That is a screaming good value. Now, it doesn't have the dagger boards, but it really is a great looking vessel for that price, especially given the construction of the hull. And then you've got the Aventura at a staggering value at 487. That's amazing. They're made over in Tunisia, across the way from Le Grand Mot, and very nicely finished in the interior. I can't speak to the engineering, haven't toured the yard yet, but I mean, it all looks very, very solid. Okay, down into the numbers that tell the tale, heading down onto length at the waterline. We're looking here at the Balance at 44 foot 0.29. Then we've got the HH at 43.57. You've got the Aventura at 44.29 and the Seawind at 45 even. So the Seawind has the longest length at the waterline. We'll have to see what that does to its performance indicators. As far as draft goes, looking across here, it's the Seawind that, it's the Balance that is the lowest with dagger boards up at 1.16 meters, followed by the Seawind with its keels at 1.3 meters, followed by the Aventura with its keels at 1.4, followed by the HH44 at 1.52 meters with dagger boards up. Heading down into capacities, you've got the Balance in the lead here at 800 and 700, that's fuel and water respectively, followed by the Aventura at 700 and 800, followed by the Seawind at 600 and 600, and then the HH at 550 and 400. As we look now into the more technical numbers, we're looking across at the hull materials here. And, you got to give the nod to the HH here. We've got full epoxy infused e-glass construction. And of course, they've got carbon composite reinforcements and a foam core. Next, then, would be the probably the Seawind tied with the balance. Both of them are vinyl ester. Both of them are e-glass. Both of them have carbon fiber reinforcements. The only edge that the balance would have here in construction is they do a heat molded foam, which means it's not scored to go around the curves, which means it has a more even distribution of that vinyl ester and probably lighter for the strength, just by a hair. The Aventura is a more traditional construction with still foam core, but polyester with e-glass. Looking now down at sail area to displacement, which is indicative of power, as we look across, here's the surprise. We've got Seawind at 29.76 in the lead, followed by Aventura at 25.96, followed by HH at 24.16, followed by Balance at 21.99. As we look to displacement to hull length, indicative of heaviness, this is where lowest number wins, and here's where the HH shines. It's at 104.12. That is then followed, and here's the surprise, by the Seawind again at 118.8, followed by the Balance at 121.8, followed by the Aventura at 123.32. So a few surprises there. It will be very interesting once all of these are out on the water to see exactly how they perform in real life. We're now going to do a virtual tour of the yacht. And just to give you a sense of renders versus reality, I wanted to show you the HH40, because we do have the pre-built renders still available, versus the actual now real production yacht photos. So first we're looking here at the saloon, at the render. It looks gorgeous. And then we move to the reality of the saloon in the actual, and it looks, if anything, even more gorgeous. Let's look now at the cockpit into the saloon of the render and over to the cockpit into the saloon of the actual. Once again, the reality looks even better than the render. So I think we're in for a treat here and no disappointment. So what would Sylvia say? Let's look at the aft section of this with those. Now this particular version is not the OC. It'd be the sport version with those lovely curved dagger boards. But you can see the aft with the cutoff hulls instead of the typical trailing off sugar scoops. I really actually like this from two angles: safety and sheer convenience, having that beautiful sugar scoop that beautiful swim platform once it's down. Look at the side profile in this. Look at those curved inverted bows. They're not just inverted, they're beautifully curved. And every line of this boat flows so nicely from that lovely section there that splits the side windows, the way it curves up and meets artistically with the roof line, to the way the side windows are sculpted in a continuous flow of tempered glass all the way down the hull. I mean, right down to where they're doing ambient lighting in the cockpit itself. Every angle of this thing, there isn't an ugly side to this boat. It is absolutely beautiful. Looking from the top down, you can see the massive extent of solar there. And the front area, remember those windows there open forward just like an oyster. Again, here you have those swim platforms down, just extending your livability. And the sugar scoops aren't the multi-step thing. It's just an easy step down and you're onto the swim platform with those beautiful ladders that are integrated there. And I mean, the entire system looks absolutely fantastic. The ladders even have the little handhelds that, you know, are always missing on my ski boat, where I gotta kind of grab whatever I can grab to pull myself up and on. It really is beautifully integrated here. There's the last section looking across the aft on those lovely swim platforms and the dinghy davits. Now let's step aboard up and into the cockpit itself. Look at that lovely drop-down seat that can either be down or up. And when you're sitting at this helm, you are right there. The water's, you can see right down the side. You can easily see right up at the sail. You can see the water right behind you, hear it, see it, smell it. And yet the other thing that you can do is swing this helm all the way inboard, so that now you're looking through the cockpit, doors open, doors closed, doesn't matter which, and you are fully protected from the elements. But the beauty of it is all of your controls, including your winches, are at your fingertips in either of the three positions. There is no hopping up and sliding back a hatch to get the winches. The winches are right there. I really, now that I've gotten into this a little bit better, I really think this is a tremendous position. Probably one of the best helm positions in the industry. You can run back and forth easily through that clear area if you're running back and forth on attack or docking or just clearing crab traps or whatever it is. You have the ultimate level of flexibility in this layout, and you still have full enclosure if you need it. Looking there, you can see just the sense of the connection with the ocean that you have. Let's walk up alongside the side decks here, the weather decks, and have a look forward. Again, as we go forward here, you can see the self-tacking jib track, and then the beautiful black longeron, and then the mast and the what do they call that? The haystack. That's probably wrong. I'm sorry, guys, but the way they've got the lazy bag captured there, it's I'm missing the word in my vocabulary right now. Let's take one last look at that wonderful aft cockpit and that helm position. It's as close to an ORC without your butt hanging over the edge as you can possibly get. Okay, let's do a little navel gazing. As innovative as this yacht is, of course, I'm going to give you a navel gaze at where maybe we could do a little bit more. A trend that I'm seeing in power yachts is these wonderful drop-down gunnels, and they do a fantastic job, a surprising job at expanding the livability and sense of space on the aft deck. Here you can see not the Privilege, but the a Sunreef power yacht with aft gunnels down and the aft dinghy lift up, creating an amazing space. But to give you a sense of this, because HH has created more vertical aft sections instead of the slowly decreasing sugar scoops, you have the ability to create a wonderful drop-down gunnel on either side that expands out your usable space quite easily. The seat for helming could easily flip over and into that with teak on the back, so that when those gunnels are down, it's just integrated into the side sections. And when the gunnels come up, the seat can flop down as it normally does. I just think this would be a tremendous addition. Now, another addition then would be, could somebody in the performance cat area please just apply the low weight technology that you have to create these wonderful descending swim platforms. They don't have to have the heavy hydraulics. Leopard has done it with belts and winches that reduce it. You could apply your incredible carbon fiber capabilities and create a lightweight one that drops down. And if you incorporate it as we do here, then with that same idea of an embedded seat area, when it comes up, the seat drops down. When it's down, the seat drops flat. And now that combined with the side gunnels down, you have a massive space in back, much like what Windaloo has done, but even better. Okay, back in the cockpit, you can see this wonderful seating area here, right just ahead of the helm station. Beautiful big windows that open up, connecting the saloon with the cockpit. A wonderful eating table there, and you can bet your bottom dollar it's going to be just the way I like it, with a nice high gloss finish on it, because that's what HH does. That aft settee there can either be the aft settee the way that the Winds have spec'd it, or you can have your barbecue built in back there. Looking again across this wonderful cockpit and helming area, it's just absolutely beautiful the way they've done it. Now let's step inside the actual saloon here and have a gander about. And again, it's as beautiful as the cockpit is. I'm not big on forward-facing nav stations in boats this size. Again, to me, it's just a bit of a waste of space, but man, they've turned this into a work of art. So hats off to them. I think they've done a beautiful job. The other thing I love is the galley here. You've got tons of counter space, but you have a full U-shaped galley that keeps you nice and cozy and safe if you're in heavy seas. So just, every aspect, the way they've integrated nice dark lines with the gloss finish on the face of those cabinets, every detail is artistically done. Let's now step into the hulls here, and you can see the beautiful rounded corners. Here is one of the heads here. Again, rounded corners, beautiful details of inlay on the doors. You can bet your bottom dollar all the fixtures are going to be top-notch. Have a look here now at one of the aft berths. Look at the size of that aft window. You've got ventilation there, ventilation in the roof, ventilation in the side windows, but masses of light here. Absolutely spectacular. Now, the other unique innovation here is they're dealing with a hybrid electric drive as an option. They're using what's called a parallel drive, where you have the two diesel engines as normal, but integrated into those are electric motors, and as such, and with a large lithium battery bank. So you can drive diesel as normal, you can drive electric as normal, pure electric. You can run the diesels and spin the electric motors to generate energy back into the battery bank, and you can sail and have your propellers drive energy for hydro generation back into your battery bank. So a very versatile format. Just to compare that with Windaloo, they use a series system where they have pure electric motors on the aft, an even larger lithium battery bank, and a genset to support additional travel distance. And of course, they have hydro generation as well. Back looking at the aft section of this, just before we head to the factory, look at the indirect lighting all through the back there. I do hope that executes on the actual production model. Okay, let's look at the actual build. I was thrilled to have Seth Hines from HH send me these lovely factory photos of the molds, and then the first layups of the hull. And you can see here the carbon fiber, the amount of carbon fiber that is actually in these boats. The first hull, hull number 1, being demolded in April 22 right here. And then hull number 1 in November 22 as it's being faired. Hull number 1, November 22 with the cabin top on. Man, it looks like it's going 100 miles an hour even with the scaffolding around it. You can see all the work. Look at those dramatic forward reverse bows. It's absolutely artwork. And there's a quick shot of the cabin top and a pan down the side of this amazing looking vessel here. Here's hull number 1 coming out of paint in March 23, just a couple of weeks ago. You can see the aft section. I mean, look at this beautiful metallic paint. Absolutely spectacular from absolutely every single angle. And then a look at the bows. Man, it just looks like a knife edge. It's spectacular. Here it is as it's being pulled out into the yard. What a profile. This is going to be an absolutely delicious boat to look at. Okay, I don't know how we're going to do this, but we have to look at pre-owned comparables. I'm not sure what can possibly compare to this remarkable vessel, but we'll give it our best shot. First up, I just want to remind you that the prices we looked at before were base price. This is before any options are added, and rarely could you sail away from the pier with a base boat. Generally speaking, when I've gone through the hundreds of price lists I have and I spec it out the way I would have it, I add about 50%, and that was what I would call sail away, or a condition that you could sail away from the dock in. So our sail away price is going to be base plus 50, which takes us to 1.42 US dollars. Our first comparable here is going to be an 016 Outremer 45. So that is a 6-year-old boat. They're asking $700,000 versus 1.4 for our brand new boat. You know, if I had the cash, I'd do the HH on this. Not that I don't love Outremers. I love Outremers. I love the 55 and the new 52. And the 45 just hasn't quite been updated to that point yet. So I'd be doing the HH. Next up, we're looking at something a little different, a 2020 Leopard 45, a true cruising boat. And that's a 2-year-old boat. They're asking for $850,000 versus 1.420. You know, for the Delta, I'd really have to look at this. That's purely my application. If I had the money, yeah, I'd go with the HH, as sexy as all get out. But if I'm really looking at value for the dollar for the kind of cruising that Sylvia and I want to do, that walk-through forward cockpit, the upper sun lounge, there's a lot to this boat that would make me stop and consider. Next up, we have a 2019 Naughty 46 Fly. They're asking $750, so it's about half the price for a 3-year-old boat. The Naughty is a gorgeous boat, and it does just edge the performance capabilities of a cruiser up that much more. And it's a very comfortable boat. I would look seriously at this given the price delta. Again, I didn't have a lot of things to compare the HH to in the used market. There just isn't much there other than cruising yachts. And so we're looking at a 2021 Bali 4.6. That's a 1-year-old boat. And gobs of space because of its layout. It's a completely different animal. They're looking for about $1 million versus 1.4. Even for my sailing, my aesthetic would take me to the HH on this. Okay, we're into monohull heresy here. And first up, as I'll remind you here, I add 20% to the length of a monohull to do a comparable monohull to a catamaran, just based on the usable space inside. You just can't compare a 45-foot cat to a 45-foot monohull. Yes, the monohull will always be cheaper, but you won't have the same living space. So to do a fair comparison, I add 20% to the length. So we are looking at, and this is in the same ballpark of quality and capability, the ML 50, a 2021 1-year-old boat, 54 foot in length. And they are asking $1.8 million versus 1.420. I'm sorry, I love the ML, but I'd be on the HH all day. We're heading over now to a 2018 Discovery 54. That is a 4-year-old boat. And we're looking at 1.2 versus the 1.4 for a brand spanking new HH. Love the Discovery, love the interior quality, love the quality of the boat in total, but I would go with the HH on this one all day. The Cat's going to be way faster, and I'm going to sail way more, and the aesthetic and everything is extraordinary. Looking at a 2019 Nature Swan 54. And they're asking again $1.8 million versus 1.420 for a sail away HH44. Sorry, I think we've done a clean sweep with the HH against the monohulls in comparable quality. Okay, we're into the preliminary Dave score. How did she fare? Well, yeah, she fared fantastic because she is a fantastic boat. We're looking at 75 out of 100, and you're looking at interior at a 9 out of 10. The only reason it isn't a 10 out of 10 is just not quite big enough. Exterior elegance is a 7 out of 10. I'd give it a little bit more if it had more space, like a designated, even a faux forward cockpit or some kind of a Versa lounge up top. Comfort-wise, given an 8 out of 10, it'd be a 9 out of 10, except for, again, space. So you do have very narrow hulls, and so you have that wall-to-wall bed. I'm going to be stuck making it, but Sylvia has given me permission to buy it, so I'd probably live with that. Exterior comfort, a 7 out of 10. Again, you don't have a lot of different spaces like you do on some other yachts. Quality, easily an 8, probably a 9. Once she hits the water, we'll have to see. Performance is an 8. Lazy Sailor's a 7. Everything comes back to those helms. You don't have to move an inch under any circumstances to get to your winches. I probably should have made this an 8 in retrospect. Condo, 7. Only reason it's not higher is just not that big. Geek score, an 8. This is so freaking cool. It's got so many interesting aspects to it. I may have gone 9 if I'm looking at it. Value for money, she's an expensive boat. In my world, anyways. So I'm giving her a 6 out of 10, but I love her. She's at 75. She could easily go above that. And be into the atmosphere of things like a 65 Lagoon or an Outremer 55. Well, she's already with the Outremer 55 and the HH 50, and that's appropriate. Those are all absolutely fantastic vessels. Once again, thank you very, very much for watching. Thanks for joining. Thanks for the comments. Please do subscribe, add your comments, positive or negative. I'm learning more from the negative usually than even the positive. And have an absolutely fantastic week. Cheers.